Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first in-person annual general meeting of Ontario One Call in quite some time. So we're very happy that you're here. And as board chair, I will officially call the meeting to order. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to Ontario One Call's annual and special members meeting. And I am honored to stand here before you as the chair of the board of directors. Today we gather together to reflect on our achievements, discuss our challenges, and chart the course for the future. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of many nations and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land and by doing so, give our respect to its first inhabitants. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our dedicated board members, our President and CEO, Jim Keach, his management team, all the hardworking staff of Ontario One Call, and our valued stakeholders. And I do want to take this opportunity to introduce our board of directors. I'll ask them to stand and remain standing, and we can acknowledge them all at the same time. First, I'd like to introduce our Vice Chair, Dean Dalfy. Dean is with Enbridge, and he is in the member class. We also have Jason Klottenberg here. He's with Avertex, and he is in the excavator category. Darren Husak from Condrain, and he's excavator category. Kevin Green from Bell Canada in the member category. Dennis Coluti from Tomlinson in the excavator category. Uzni Semsadini from London Hydro and the member category. He's also the chair of the Risk Finance and Audit Committee. Chantel Chittle is from Len Corkin Construction in the excavator category. And Enrico Scalera from the City of Burlington, and he is in the member category. And I don't see him. Oh, there he is at the back of the room. Rico is also retiring from the board after serving for many, many years, and we are grateful for his service. We also have with us Veronica McCallier-Major. She's the chair of the HR and Governance Committee and is a ministerial appointee, along with Phil Gillies is a ministerial appointee, and myself, and that comprises your 2023-24 Board of Directors. And as Enrico is retiring and exiting the board, we have someone proposed to come join the board. I'd like to introduce Wanda Richardson, and she is being proposed as part of the slate today. Thank you, Wanda. I want to thank all the members of the board for their service. Their unwavering commitment and support has been so instrumental in our success. And a very special thank you to our former chair, Dean Dalfy, for his exemplary leadership and contributions. I'm going to take this opportunity to explain the voting process now. Please note, if you have submitted a proxy vote, you do not need to and should not vote today, as your instructions have already been captured. As this annual and special members meeting is being held simultaneously in person and virtually, there are two different voting processes that we want to review. Please note that only authorized voting members will have an opportunity to vote. So if you are online virtually joining us today, and if you are registered as an authorized voting member, you will have a voting pop-up display on your screen asking for you to vote on each independent matter after they are introduced. And you will have 90 seconds in which to vote after the voting matter is introduced. It will then be closed and tabulated. If you are in person with us today and have not filed a proxy, if you are registered as an authorized voting member and you are attending, please scan the voting QR code, which is being displayed and you can find throughout the room. Once you are on the web page, input your email, and each voting matter will come up independently as it is introduced. Once a voting matter is introduced, you will have 90 seconds to input your vote. At this point, I would like to introduce last year's annual and special members meeting minutes. And I am looking for a motion to accept and confirm last year's meeting minutes. I understand it's moved by board members Veronica and seconded by Uzni that we confirm the minutes from last year's annual and special members meeting. I'm going to ask the board members who are present to vote if they are in favor by raising their hand. The resolution has been passed. Thank you. So, and the resolution was that the meeting minutes of Ontario One Call September 21st, 2023 annual and special members meeting has been approved. Now, we would like to welcome our minister. Todd McCarthy is with us yesterday, but he's going to join us on video now, and I'll ask them to play that, please.
Hello, everyone. It was a pleasure to attend the One Call conference and trade show yesterday. Congratulations on a wonderful inaugural event. On behalf of Ontario's Ministry of Public and Business Service Delivery and Procurement, I am honored to have this opportunity to offer a few words today at your annual special members meeting. I want to recognize the One Call Board Chair, Mitch Panchia, and CEO, Jim Keach, for your steadfast leadership. Also, the entire team, the One Call team, I say thank you for the excellent work you do to keep Ontarians and our infrastructure safe and secure. As our province continues to grow, One Call plays a vital role in ensuring our important underground infrastructure is protected and that our residents are safe during digging and excavation. As you are all aware, our government is committed to building 1.5 million homes over the next decade, and the prompt delivery of locates is essential to achieving this goal. Furthermore, I would like to commend the One Call team for their award-winning awareness campaign for the dedicated locator model. I know that we understand the value of locates, but ensuring industry members across Ontario understand the important steps they must take before digging is paramount to the success of One Call. And so I thank you for your creativity and your dedication to getting the word out about this important initiative. Now, as we approach the upcoming year, my ministry looks forward to engaging stakeholders through consultation to expand and modernize the locate system. You have all been incredible partners in this work thus far, and I look forward to hearing your valued contributions during these sessions. In closing, I want to thank the leaders in this room for their commitment to public safety and to the work that they do every single day. Locating underground infrastructure is an essential and vital step to keep this province running safely and efficiently, whether it be for installing internet, building a home, or expanding transit. We are not only getting it done for Ontario, but getting it done right. So thank you again for this opportunity to say a few words. I wish you a productive meeting.
Great, and it was great to have the minister as well as MPP Bailey with us yesterday. MPP Bailey, who is the godfather of safe digging in Ontario, so that's been good. I'd like to now move on to the chair's report. And I'll start off by saying that this past year has been truly a transformative one for Ontario One Call. You know, when you look back at the scope of change, and the board certainly understands this, and the staff, it has been a roller coaster year that we could not anticipate. And our members have made significant strides in improving their locate performance, ensuring more projects start on time. The efforts that we and the ministry have made for us to become a public safety administrative authority have been fruitful, and we are proud of the governance and organizational achievements that we've accomplished. Just a couple of highlights or specific success stories from last year, which were contained in our annual report. You know, we strengthened our governance and strategy. The organization underwent significant enhanced governance and strategic planning, taking up a lot of time, but we're very, very proud of the product that was there. The board of directors evolved. We went from 16 stakeholder representatives down to 8, plus 4 ministerial appointees. That's a significant and almost tumultuous change, but we've evolved through that. We have new excavator representatives and, as I said, ministerial appointees, and some new members that are on the board as well. We enhanced our stakeholder engagement, including, very importantly, this conference, but we had multiple conversations with stakeholders, And with that, Ontario One Call was able to implement a new regulation and key updates to the Ontario Underground Infrastructure Notification System Act, which was first introduced in 2012, and that was a significant work of collaboration. We work and continue to collaborate very closely with the Government of Ontario. The organization received historic critical financial support from the government partners aiding in its transformation. Minister McCarthy reminds me very often that they have never given an administrative authority $25 million over 3 years, and that money is targeted specifically to many improvements, and we are delivering on that mandate that's there. And despite limited resources, in spite of that dedicated money we've received from the Government of Ontario, Ontario One Call has managed to handle locate requests effectively and implement measures to prevent damage to underground infrastructure. I do want to just comment very briefly on an incident which occurred in January, and many of you who use our system know that there was an interruption in our service in January, which was the effect, or was the caused by a cyber incident. But we're very, very proud of how the organization responded. We received notification around 5:30 a.m. on a Friday morning about the potential breach. We immediately shut down our systems. We were back up by 4:30 that afternoon for emergency locates to allow people who needed to do underground excavation to be able to do that on an emergency basis. Our staff worked all weekend with our insurance providers, our consultants, with the government, and by 4:30 on Monday, we were back up and working, and we haven't been down since then. So that is if you follow what's going on in the world, that is that's a major accomplishment, and I want to thank all the team for doing that and keeping our systems going and allowing Ontario to continue to build. Thank you very much. We are now also looking at the future, and as we look ahead, our focus remains on enhancing public safety and service efficiency. We're committed to leveraging our technology and innovations to streamline our processes and better serve our sector. Our goal is to contribute to continuing building a robust and responsive organization that meets the evolving needs of Ontario's construction and excavation industries. So, I've talked a lot about these things that we've done, but I do want to spend just a moment talking about our secret weapon. And our secret weapon certainly is our people. And we have people who are passionate about the preservation of life and underground infrastructure. And those people include our locators and the support organizations that assist in that. They include our infrastructure owners, who are our major partners, our excavators, our government and ministerial staff, our Ontario One Call staff, and our board. We are all working together passionately for safe digging in Ontario, and I'm very, very proud of that. Together we'll navigate the challenges and seize the opportunities that lie ahead of us. Thank you for your continued support and dedication to Ontario One Call. Let's continue to work together to make the coming year even more successful. And I'd now like to invite our President and CEO, Jim Keach, to deliver his report.
Thank you, Mitch. And welcome, everyone. It is my pleasure at this time to address you as part of the formal proceedings here today, our annual and special members meeting. So by the time this is all over, which is about an hour from now, I will finally have got it right and stop calling it the annual general meeting, but we'll get there. It actually is a pleasure to do this. I guess I should say hybrid. I was going to say with people actually here to hold a meeting like this with people in person, but also there are a number of people joining us virtually. So welcome everyone, and particularly to the people in the room. It has been a long couple of days. I realize that. We do appreciate you staying for the formal part of this, and also realizing by staying that you're risking your time of getting out into the Toronto traffic. So we'll try and keep this quick, but thank you. So a little bit like what Mitch said, I want to talk about our successes over the last year, and as well about some of our plans for the future. But before I do, like yesterday, I just want to say a couple of thank yous, and I want to start by sending my thank you to the board of directors. We have a number of members who have been here for a while, a number of new members, and for everyone who is involved, I realize, and I heard a little bit of this over the last couple of days, that the demands on you over the course of this year have been significant, significantly more than probably what you've seen in the past. With strategic planning, board recruitment, whatnot, it is appreciated very much, and just appreciate your dedication to that. I also want to say a special thanks to Mitch. I truly appreciate your dedication, your time, your guidance, and your support. And, it's not in the strategic plan for the next 3 years, but if somehow I can just convince you that the Toronto Maple Leafs truly are the best Canadian hockey team, then everything will be perfect going forward. Next, I want to, boy, this is a hard crowd. Whoa. Next, I want to give a special thanks to our partners at the ministry. We work closely with you. I appreciate the opportunity that you give us for input, for consultation, the opportunities to express our views. I know sometimes they're not always what you necessarily want to hear, and we're not in agreement, but we do realize the opportunity that you're giving us, and we appreciate that. And, part of the goals that we talk about going forward and getting better, we very truly want to become a trusted partner in working with you. So thank you very much for doing that. Next, just a thank you to all the stakeholders, and Mitch touched on this a bit as well. And it's a wide group of stakeholders we're looking at: Ontario One Call members or infrastructure owners, excavators, the locate service providers, the consultants, the service providers, a number that were here at the trade show the last couple of days. So thanks again to everybody. And in saying the thanks, it's not just thanks for the support, but really for working together and the collaboration. And that was talked about in a number of the presentations today, and I was really glad to hear that. And it's something that we have focused on, and we want to continue to focus on. And I think that, the work that we have done in that regard has really had some significant results, significant good results, particularly in improving on the timelines for locate delivery, which obviously has been a focus for the year 2023. So thank you very much for that. So looking back at 2023, one of the things that we have talked about pretty extensively is it's been a transformative year at Ontario One Call. And we talk about the transformation that's ongoing, and we still need to work on it. And when I was thinking about my remarks over the weekend, I thought I probably do need to just pause and explain what we mean by transformative year, because I think it's obvious to us and to some who work closely, but maybe not to everyone. So when we talk about that, it's the change that we went through and are continuing to go through. And if you think about Ontario One Call, the Godfather was here yesterday, talked about when it was formed, and I found that really fascinating, just kind of how it happened. But from that time up until a year or 2 years ago, we were a service provider. We offered a service to members, basically connecting people who wanted locates with members or locate service providers. And I would say that's a service that Ontario One Call did very well. And I'm saying that not from being here in this role, but from the role I had at Utilities Kingston. It was a service that I think worked extremely well. So where the transformation started, I believe, was when the provincial government looked at locate delivery and, for all the right reasons, decided it wasn't being done in a timely manner. It had to be improved. And looks at ways of doing that and introduced the administrative penalties and made Ontario One Call an administrative authority. And I think that was the right thing to do. I think everything was well done. But I don't think the organization, Ontario One Call, had the opportunity or the time or maybe even the resources to actually put in place what it needed to do to go from the service provider to being a safety administrative authority. So when we talk about transformation, it's actually putting those things in place to go from one side to the other. So I just want to take a few minutes and explain that to everyone, because I think when we talk about transformation, everybody thinks every organization is going through it. How are we different? And that is how we are different. So that was started in 23. We've talked a lot about it. I'm going to touch on a few things as I go through the presentation, but it's not done. We are continuing on with it, and we talked a bit about it in our 3-year strategic plan, and you are going to hear a lot more about the transformation going forward. Some of the achievements that we were able to accomplish as we went through this transformation. There were a number. I talked about the improvement in the timeline for locates, but in addition, we did work closely with stakeholders. Many of you are here today, including the Government of Ontario, to ensure the delivery of its mandate. This included collaboration, including official consultation that we worked closely with the ministry on, and I think that led to some very positive changes in legislation and regulation, as an example. As I said, we improved the locate timelines. We played a role in that. I think it was pivotal, but I think it's actually small, and I said that yesterday. I want to repeat it today. The only way that we were successful in that was all of us, and the different groups that I mentioned here today, working together. I think it was a great start, and we need to continue on that. So focusing a little bit on the annual report, and I want to start with the financial highlights. So in 2023, the organization made some significant progress in strengthening its financial sustainability, but more work remains. We need to remain focused on building OneCall's future and remaining cost-effective, and also ensuring delivery of our new mandate and responsibilities. As part of the annual report, there is the auditor's report. It's an unqualified, clean opinion on the audited 2023 financial statements. And if you're interested, please refer to that. And if there's any questions, there will be an opportunity to answer questions, and our CFO is here to respond to them. But in regards to the finances for 2023, I want to pause for a minute, and I want to say a very big thank you to all of our members for the confidence and trust that you placed in us a year ago. And what I'm talking about a year ago, so if we go back, I think it's a week less a year ago to the exact date. But the annual meeting that we held at that point in time was very different. It was remote. And I will admit it was extremely stressful. The things that you were going to vote on at that point in time really were going to impact the future of this organization going forward. We asked for a lot. I know that. We asked for a lot. And in asking for what we did, we talked about the financial state of this organization. People heard me say it was not sustainable going forward. It was not viable. I used the term anorexic, and it was, we're not skinny, we're anorexic, and we're basically on life support, and we meant that. We put together fairly quickly, I think, a good 5-year financial forecast and a good financial plan, and we came to you at that point in time, so you as members and you as the province, and asked for 2 things. One was a significant increase in the fees that you pay us, 20% a year for 3 years, so 2020, and the $25 million from the province. We laid out a bit of a plan as to what we were going to do with it, but it was not a detailed plan because this was put together relatively quickly. You had the faith and trust in us to vote on that. It wasn't 100%, but I think it was just under 80. We needed 75% to put that in place, and that really has led to us being here today, to the start of us being successful and going forward. And I really wanted to take the opportunity today to thank everybody, and I think that's actually the most important thing that I'm going to say in this presentation. It truly was appreciated. So moving forward, I said there are still lots of work to be done in that regard. And there was a lot of work that we did over the course of the year. And we did put together, we didn't have a strategic plan at that point in time, but we put together a business plan for the year. And as I said yesterday, we focused on 4 key pillars: safety, compliance, organizational transformation, and governance. Now, if I talk just a little bit about each of those pillars, I'm going to start with the safety one. And I'm not going to get into a lot of detail, but I think on the safety one, everything that we do at Ontario OneCall, we look to how it relates to the safety of public, the safety of excavation. And the message that I give is if it doesn't directly relate to that, you need to question yourself if you should be doing it, because that's why we are here. And I think that has resonated throughout staff, and I think throughout stakeholders as well. Some specific things that we did was grow the dedicated locator program quite significantly. I know there's been a number of presentations in that regard over the last couple of days. There's a lot of talk about that. I personally think that's a great program. I think it has a very bright future. There are some things that we need to work out about that to get in place. And I think, I talk about consultation and collaboration. I think this is one area that some members are going to have to seriously look at how they're managing or working with us on the dedicated locator program to make this successful, but I do think we can get there. Also, some of our education programs, we work to promote them, work to renew them, and they were extremely successful. The next pillar is compliance. And, the compliance one for 2023 was an interesting one. So if you go back, a year and a half, more than a year and a half now, going into 23, we were looking at the APs coming into effect. I think it was April 1st, around then, for the first time. So we had to get a lot of things in place. We had to get policies, procedures, codes of conducts. And when I say get them in place, Ian is here, I just want to make a shout out to Ian, because before the start of this year, he had done, and his team, a lot of great work in that regard. It needed some tweaking and whatnot, but I don't want that to get glossed over. There had been a lot of work to get done. But we had to finalize those. We set up a special ad hoc committee of the board, actually met weekly with them to get them approved. And also, it was kind of how we were going to go about administrating the administrative penalties as well, and also making sure that the ministry was comfortable with that. So we got that in place. Obviously, everybody's aware the APs got put on hold and came back this year. But I think the work that we did at that point was a great foundation for what we did this year. The other thing I think we did a very good job at was taking the noise level in the administrative penalties down. Because I remember when I first came here, John and myself, and I don't know if anybody from Hydro One is still here. It's hard to see when you're up here, but I remember going into work one day and saying, geez, there's about 8 people from Hydro One in the boardroom, and they don't look happy. That was an understatement. And anyway, we kind of like, okay, what are they doing here? And I'd had my dealings with Hydro One as an LDC, but it was completely different. And, they started off along the lines of, we're concerned about the $250 million worth of APs that you're going to level on the industry over the course of the year. Anyway, I could continue on with this. I actually find this amusing at this point, but I think, we listened and we tried to kind of get the balance as to where this was coming from. And I think we put things in place and got out very good messages to a number of different groups as to what our intention was. And it was not to issue that kind of a penalty. And as a matter of fact, where we were going, we wanted the industry to get better. If we didn't have to issue any penalties, we would be happy with that, but we had to have improvements. And that led to a lot of good work in compliance. And I've mentioned Ryan a couple of times over the course of my presentations. And I know you touched on some of it this morning. It was interesting, the feedback, the quarterly webinars, the reports that go out, the working with the different members. I think that's all good, but I think the feedback you got this morning was great. And to me, the positive thing about that, it wasn't, we don't want any more, we got too much. It was, we want more. So I think that shows that we're doing a very good job in that regard. The other one, the other pillar is organizational transformation. And this is really focusing on our people. And, if we go back a year or so ago, our retention rate was not good. There was a lot of people leaving the organization, joining the organization. And, this is an area that Morgan, heading up the HR group, was quite concerned about. There were a number of things that were done and put in place over the course of the year to, keep employees and also to attract employees, and attract employees in different areas to help us to grow the organization that we need to deliver on our mandate. And the final pillar was governance. And, this pillar, I think, in some ways is a double pillar. One is governance, of staff and what we do. So I talked about, from the compliance aspect, some of the things that had to get put in place, but also just the overall governance. And last year, In addition to the fee increases, there were some significant changes to the bylaws that were brought forward that were approved, and we've tweaked them again this year. And the other was just working with the board. Mitch talked about the transformation there, working and supporting the board. And also, an area that I'm actually quite proud of, I know we need to get better, but is the materials that we provide to the board members on a quarterly basis. I think that is much improved from what it was. It still needs to improve on, but I think it just, continually demonstrates the professionalism of this organization. So just a couple of other comments here. I talked about the transformation, and just very quickly highlighting some of the things again that we're quite proud of. Continuing to transform as a public safety administrative authority. I talked about the change that was expected of us, and not really having the time to do that, but we are focused on that, and we'll continue to work on it. The board has evolved. It's more diverse. It has different members, different perspective. I think that's been very positive. And the staff continuing to support the board and what they do. Connecting more with our stakeholders, again, a lot of talk about that. The last 2 days have been a good demonstration of it. I think we've been very successful, but we are going to get much better, and you're going to see a lot more of it. Unfortunately, you're going to have to see a lot more of Jean, but anyways, you get the good with the bad. At some point, you're going to laugh at my jokes. I know that's going to happen. And I talked about, we are investing wisely. We're looking at a business model. We're working at our financial plan. And on that, again, I just want to pause. Putting together a financial plan, and as I said, we put together a very quick financial plan and a business model. There's two parts to it. There's the revenue. I talked about the revenue. I thanked you for it. But there's also the expense part. And one of the things that we are going to do over the next couple of years is look very, very closely at our expenses internally. I think there are some things that we can improve on, and we do intend to do that. So I think it's important that you realize that. I don't want to be an organization that just looks for more revenue. I want to be prudent in what we spend. So there were the highlights of the past. Looking forward, as I said, we remain committed to our mission of promoting public safety and safe excavations. I am very excited about the strategic plan we have in place. I said yesterday, I like it. It's easy. It's easy to understand. It's not going to be easy to put in place. But it is going to provide us direction, and the direction is to reduce damages to underground infrastructure, continuously improve locate timelines, increase the effectiveness and quality in the Ontario One Call locate request process, and increase operational efficiency as we build and innovate our workforce, all resulting in a safer Ontario for everyone. So I have to go into the business part of the meeting, which we will go through. But before I do, I do want to make one more thank you. And I know I've said thanks to a number of different groups over the 2 days, but I actually have it to this group, and this is to the staff at Ontario One Call, and I have purposely left this to the end. We talk about transformation. The organization is being turned upside down and inside out, and I seriously mean that. It has been exciting for staff. It's been hard on staff. Some staff have bought in. They're very excited, and some staff are concerned and worried about it, and I get that. But I would say all staff have been supportive, and all staff wants to see the organization be successful, and they are all focused on a safer Ontario. So thanks to everyone for that. I sincerely mean that. So if you bear with me for another hour and a half, I'll try and get through the... Well, you're getting better. This is good. If you could stand up with the applause, that'll work. We do have to get through the formal part of the meeting, and as people are probably aware, I like to add a little bit fair bit, but I am going to read this because I have to get it right. Otherwise, Ian will make me repeat the whole thing at the end, and nobody wants to do that. So, the voting matters. There are 4 voting matters that have been endorsed by the Board of Directors that the members need to vote on today. The first, approve the amendments of Bylaw 1, including Schedule 1 to Bylaw 1. The second, approve the removal of Bylaw number 2. The third, approve the slate of directors and their terms. And the fourth, approve the appointment of a new auditor. And I'm going to go through these in more detail, but that's just a high summary of it. So, so if we go to the slide, I think it's slide 12, Bylaw 1, Schedule 1. Bylaw 1 is the corporate governance bylaw. The vast majority of the changes to this bylaw were done to comply with the recent amendments to the Ontario Underground Infrastructure Notification System Act 2012, new regulations, ministers' orders, and the revised Memorandum of Understanding between the Ministry of Public and Business Services, Delivery and Procurement, and Ontario One Call. For Schedule 1 to Bylaw 1, the major updates were surrounding simplifying the fees section, as the process is now outlined in the Act and the new MOU, and incorporating the new regulations for specified locates for large excavation and dig sites. Bylaw number 2. Bylaw number 2 was a new bylaw introduced last year to support Ontario One Call's fee setting structures at the beginning of its transition to a public safety administrative authority. Bylaw 2 is no longer needed because of the revised Memorandum of Understanding that we hope to have in place later this fall. And actually, there's a board meeting right after this, and the chair will sign off on the new MOU, and the ministry is also in agreement, so that actually will be in place fairly quickly. The next is directors. So after much review, the board is asking members to approve the following elected directors and their term limits to build the skill sets and the depth the board needs to continue Ontario One Call's transformational growth. On this one, as I said, I was supposed to stick to my script, but I'm going to go off a little bit. I really want to thank Veronica and Morgan for the work they did in this. It was a very different, very new, very detailed process that you led us through, and the feedback that I've got has been really positive. So a big thank you. And that goes back to my comment about the work that the board has done, because I know you involved a lot of the board members in that as well. So I just wanted to recognize that. The next one is auditor. In 2024, Ontario One Call performed a formal procurement process for the services of an independent auditor. After a comprehensive evaluation, the recommendation from One Call Board of Directors is to appoint KPMG LLP as the new auditor. So at this point, I do need to pause to see if there are any questions, and it can be anybody attending in person. Just put your hand up. Ian, I believe, or Jeff has a mic, and they will get it to you. And Ian, I'm kind of looking at you, that if there's any online questions, somebody can ask them. So I'll just pause for a moment.
Any questions? If you're scared, no, it's fine.
Jim, at this point, there's no questions.
Okay.
So maybe we'll just give a couple more moments just in case something comes online, if that's okay.
So, Ian, maybe I will go through the voting matters, and then I will pause again if any has come online, just to speed things up a bit. So,
Sounds great.
so for the voting matters, I'm actually just repeating what Mitch had said earlier. So we are doing this both virtually and in person. So virtually, if you're registered as an authorized voting member and you have not submitted a proxy and you are attending virtually, a voting pop-up will display on your screen asking you to vote on each independent matter after it has been introduced. You'll have 90 seconds to vote. If you're in person and you have not submitted a proxy, there's QR codes around the room. Just scan on that, put your email address in, and again, it will pop up with the opportunity to vote, and you'll have 90 seconds to do that.
At this point, there's no questions, Jim. You're good to go.
Okay, so let's go into the to the actual vote. The first one is approval of bylaw number 1 and schedule 1 to bylaw number 1. The question: shall a new bylaw number 1, including its schedule number 1, unnamed in the form enhanced by the board of the corporation, be approved? It is moved by Veronica and seconded by Uzni. and everyone will now have 90 seconds to cast their vote.
The voting is now live.
So the resolution, based on the voting results, it is resolved that the members hereby approve and confirm bylaw number 1 and schedule 1 to bylaw number 1 as enacted by the Board of Ontario on June the 20th, 2024. Thank you. Number 2, removal of bylaw number 2. So the question, shall bylaw number 2 be revoked as approved by the Board of the Corporation? Again, moved by Veronica and seconded by Usne, and you'll have 90 seconds to vote.
Thank you. The voting is now live.
So that is approved as well. So based on the voting results, it's resolved that the members hereby approve the removal of bylaw number 2. Selection of directors. Shall the Board of Directors slate presented at the annual and special members meeting and the terms be approved? Moved by Veronica, second by Usne. And I want to thank Mitch for actually introducing the board, outgoing board member, and new board member. Please vote. Thank you. So based on the voting results, it is resolved that the members hereby elect the following persons as directors of Ontario One Call for the terms set out opposite their names as on the screen. So the fourth and final one is approval of the auditor. Shall the new auditor, KPMG LLP, be appointed as the Ontario One Call auditor for the 2024 fiscal period? Again, moved by Veronica, second by Uzni, and you will have 90 seconds to vote. So based on the voting results, it is resolved that the members hereby appoint KPMG LLP as the auditor of Ontario One Call for the 2024 fiscal period. Thank God that's over. I planned on telling jokes during each 90-second period, but I didn't think that was going to work. So that is the end of the meeting and the formal business. Just wanted to thank everybody for attending, and I look for a motion to adjourn. And again, it is moved by Veronica, second by Uzni, and I will ask if anybody is opposed, and you have 9 seconds, not 90. Excellent. Thanks, everybody. Have a safe drive home, and please provide comments as to your thoughts on the last couple of days. Take care.